Mic on. Mic off. Mic on.
All right. Good morning, Vietnam. Market's going straight up again, huh? Well, there's something to be said about this. Just give me a moment. I'm setting up here. Hey, Mike, how are you? Still setting up. 1 minute. Por favor. All right, guys. Do, 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 do. All right, so we got a much bigger bounce than we expected, um, but it is within this structure in here, and now it's in the middle of nowhere. All right, we're going to introduce something new to some of you guys. We have a pattern and a topping pattern that is called thin, thick, thin. Okay, and basically what that is, it's a straight down shot, and then it spends some time going back to the top and then drops. All right, that's a thin, thick, thin. Now it doesn't have to go all the way to the top, but um, again, this is a very small time frame, so you can see that, right? But um, these do occur on bigger time frames. So you can see also here that you had an up move, a 2, and now we are in a 3, right? Bouncing off the lows. Now, unfortunately, some of these lines, they move sometimes. They're They're a little funky. You can't get enough uh, time to evaluate, right? So this one goes all the way back to September 23rd. So the fact that it's a 5-minute chart doesn't mean anything. Uh, it's the time frame that we are analyzing. So we had a 1, 2, 3 up. It's pointing to the upside. A straight shot move down. A thicker move up. And then we're going to get some news, more likely than not. Something is going to come in, and it's going to be another waterfall drop. That's the likely scenario. Does it have to happen? No, but that's the likely scenario for right now. When you zoom out a little bit on a 5-minute, you can see the 1, 2, 3 a lot clearer. Okay, 1, 2, 3, very clear. All right, and it's such a small number two and such a tight move up. Well, tight overall, but nothing compared to this thin drop here, right? So you can kind of chart this such. All right. So tight, tight, tight. Once this breaks, then we should see something like a waterfall. Till then, it's going to just continue to push higher and grind higher and higher within this channel. So let's go take a look at the rest of the market. This is equal weighted S&P 500. I like this one better. Right, you can kind of see it a little bit better. Right, it still hasn't made a new high. Right, that's because the rest of the market is lagging relative um, to the S&P. The dividends lagging as well. You also have a M pattern here, right? And then everything fell apart. The VIX popped out of this structure above a structure. And I hate when the lines move. Well, maybe it didn't move, but yeah, it did move. Okay. So you have this structure right in here. Breaks out, starts to consolidate above this structure, pops out again, pulls back. So you know it's ready to go. If anything is going to go, you know, it's going to be the VIX, and it's going to be soon. Okay, and that kind of coincides with what the markets are doing and telling us. So, you know, none of this analysis in of itself is the holy grail. So please don't make that assumption. We're just looking for clues. Let the data tell us what is going on. Okay. New York Stock Exchange popped out, came back and tested the top of the structure, and now it's weakening. It's got a lower high. It's got a lower high from the previous high. Didn't even make it that, you know, that high. So not very bullish there. Nasdaq testing the bottom of the structure, which is a funky looking structure, right? It's a megaphone. You can kind of see it. Okay, it's a megaphone. Megaphones typically signal confusion. Doesn't look very um, structured, right? It's just kind of chaos. Again, thin, thick, thin is in play. Small caps, big move up. Okay, looking for a topping pattern. Google and the fangs, they're trying to hold on to this support area. There's a structure, there's a little wedgie looking thing in here. It's holding within that, balanced. So nothing there for now. Transportation, back towards the top. And World Stock Index. Bearish, right? See it? It's a breakout from this structure. Okay, so a lot of confusion. Broke previous highs, and it's having some difficulties. So let me mark that. Let me take this one out. So having some difficulties within these two lines. Airlines, you know, tweet, tweet, tweet. Apparently, Trump is having a meltdown this morning before 9 o'clock, tweeting about everything under the sun. And he wants to bail out airlines, make a special deal for them. Uh, are they going to get it? They're not going to get it. Pelosi says, yes, I'm open to it, which means nothing. So that's how they're trying to hype the market back up. Okay. Um, so airlines, they're not trusting it very much, falling back down within this bear flag. Emerging markets continue to grind higher. China continues to push higher. Let me take it to a smaller time frame. An expansion of the range. Okay, so continues to push higher. Japan, not doing anything. Okay, Australia popped out. So now you got mass confusion, right? Look at the structure, right? Um, this is a megaphone. You can make a good argument that it's an inverse head and shoulders, right? Like the rest of the markets. But again, it's all within the context below of the structure here. So don't read too much into it. Right, look at that megaphone, right? So, with a inverse head and shoulders. Nifty 50 testing the previous high. We talked about this yesterday. Um, if you really go down on a small time frame, you're going to see this baby little rising F flag. F for fuck you. Okay, so let's move this a little higher. There it goes. Okay. South Korea pushing higher. Europe, a wedgie looking pattern. I think the market just doesn't know what to believe from Trump anymore. And they're just, they're like, in the end of the day, you'll give us the money we want. If you don't, you're in trouble. I think that's what the market is saying. They want their trillions, no matter what. UK, nothing. Uh, Taiwan. Taiwan is something, something. An economy I like. I like the whole Asia thing right now relative to the US and Europe. Asia is doing fairly well with COVID, so that's good. And it's breaking previous highs right here. Okay. Brazil coming down. Saudi resistance at previous high. We talked about that yesterday. Oil right back down again. Okay. So breaks the bottom, breaks the top, comes back down. Indecision, confusion. Bitcoin grinding higher. Um, with Bitcoin, if you get a drop here, if we get a drop, when you have a wedge like this, I don't like wedges, but and the reason I don't is because when they drop, they typically do the opposite. So it goes one way and then goes the other. So don't be surprised if it drops down to 10,000 or even slightly below it. Um, Looking at the agriculture, pushing higher, pushing higher. Precious metals coming down. Commodities overall, they're up against this resistance area. Okay. If it starts building a high base, that would be bullish. Some kind of high base here, and then boom, takes off, right? So it's got the possibility to do that. Sugarcane pushing higher, corn higher, wheat higher, and steel pushing up. Soybeans, gonna save the world, pushing higher. Nat gas, I don't really trade this, but or even analyze it. It's just look, it's just garbage, right? Dollar, what's the dollar doing? Back down. Back down out of structure, and this is what I'm saying. When it starts to build that pressure down here, right? This whole thing here, it's building that pressure. Uh, it's gonna likely resolve to the downside. It's just building the pressure, getting ready for it for the next move. And let's take a look at the 10-year. Continues to remain fairly elevated relative to the rest of the price action since March. And 10-2s, tips, 30-year bond. It dropped out of structure, so I would not be surprised if we have a structure below the structure. Okay, and what happens? Remember, when bonds go up, yields go down. When bonds sell off, yields go higher. Okay, so this may be a structure that is telling us that we could see lower bond prices for the 30-year. European financials, they broke down. U.S. financials, they look like shit. Okay, this is what I would expect the market to really have done. Um, Without stimulus, without this and that, I would expect the market to look something like that, right? You get the drop, you get the pop, you kind of go sideways for a while, then you get the next leg down. Clearly, that's not what happened, but that's if we didn't print 25% of GDP, I think this is what the stock market would have looked like. Another bank ETF. This is more banking in of itself than XLF, and looking very weak, very weak. Look at Jets. Yeah, looking weak. So for now, they're saying that they're going to bail out the airlines, blah blah blah. But right now, based on the chart, doesn't look like it's going to happen. So just gotta wait. This day is going to be boring until it breaks. It's just going to be going within this channel, grinding back and forth until this breaks. Okay. Don't expect a whole hell of a lot for today. Don't expect a whole. It's going to be boring as hell. When markets move like this, kind of like that grindy, like boring kind of, it puts people to sleep. If you're short, you're like, okay, now it's gonna fall, now it's gonna fall, now it's gonna fall. If you're buying, you're like, okay, it's still going up. I'll leave it a little longer. It just puts people to sleep. It's amazing. And then suddenly, like, bang, market breaks, and everybody's either running to cover their shorts and break even, and then the longs are trying to sell out so they don't lose or sell out of their losing position or whatever, and it creates this just thrusty kind of move down. Uh, so that's funny. Let's see what's going on Twitter. All right, car sales per capita. Isn't that interesting? That the population is growing. We're wealthier than ever before, and car sales per capita is actually falling. Interesting, huh? Bet a lot of people don't know that. Inflation, yeah. Well, if CPI measured inflation and the asset prices, uh, believe you me, this chart would not look like this. This only measures the real economy, and 42% of inflation is real estate. So if real estate is not rising, then you don't have inflation, which is, a little funky. It's a little funky. Lumber, look at that, right? And it's that money flowing into commodities. Do you want to own a bond that's going to give you negative interest rates, or do you want to go buy commodities like lumber? You know, you don't pay any interest. And remember, commodities are a very small market, very small. They're tiny. So you throw a little bit of money in the commodity market, and you're going to see the prices pop. All right. Unfortunately for the real economy, that translates into real inflation, and people start saying like they did back in 2008. Oh, it's all the printing that's causing inflation. Have you been to the supermarket? Have you been to the supermarket? You don't know what you're talking about. Hyperinflation is coming, and it had nothing to do with that. It was just money flows, right? Money flowing into commodities. It's just mechanical. Makes it appear like everything is, you know, becoming expensive because of monetary inflation. When in reality, it has to do more with fear. Mortgage application has spiked. Okay. Testing coming back down again. We've kind of kept it like at 800,000, more or less, and it stayed steady at about 5% in terms of cases. So look at that. Unbelievable. Unbelievable that the stock market is 171% of GDP. And they're telling you that liquidity does not matter. Liquidity has nothing to do with it. Nope. Um, like, how can they say it with a straight face? How? Uh, very frustrating. Gasoline prices. That's about it. We talked about Jolt yesterday. What is this? Looks like my daughter. Uh, Trade balance, right? We're all the way down to 66 billion per month. Right? It's a drainage of dollars from the United States. All right. I'm just gonna take a look, see what's popping. JetBlue's up 6%. But again, I mean, 6% in the context of this, right? Spirit is up 3%. This is Allegiant, 2%. Copa, EasyJet, it's down 3%. All right. So same thing here with the Nasdaq, right? Testing the previous high, having some difficulties. It really accelerated to the upside at 6:40 this morning. It really just took off. Came back down at 10:30 and then popped back up, testing previous high. So this could be it in terms of the bounce, right? We'll see. Testing the megaphone. This is also what we call an erection. There's a limp tick and a erection. See how it accelerates to the upside? The next move is down like this. So that gives us an indication that this is probably going to have a sharp move down. Point of control since this move began back here. I line it up properly. 11,338 or 11,451. We went from one point of control to the secondary point of control and finding resistance in here. All right. Also note that we came right into this area here. Bounced, bounced, bounced. Next time this gives away, and remember that this is the value area, 70% of all the trades volume went off in here, that if this breaks now to the downside, the next point, likely point, is going to be down here somewhere. Okay? So that would be 10,915. Now let's talk about the moves. It's impossible to trade this. I'm telling you, it's like unbelievable. You get a 2% drop, followed by a 3% pop, followed by 3% drop, probably 2% pop, followed by a 3% drop. And now you're getting so far, 2% pop. So how do you trade this? What kind of investor, who's trying to set up a position can trade that? If you're telling me, well, I'm a day trader, yeah, well, good luck with that. Good luck with that, because look at the movements, right? It's just whipsawing you back and forth. Forget about it. Look at it from this perspective. 5% drop, 5% pop, almost 6. 7% drop, 5% pop, 5% drop, 8% pop, 8 plus, and now it's consolidating. So, um, if your portfolio looks like Syria, well, you know why. You know why. You can't have a president come out tweeting every day to set the market where he wants it. It's just not. This is this is criminal. I mean, where's the SEC to put him in jail, to investigate him, among so many other things that he does wrong. So many other things. Monkey. He's a monkey. All right, let's look at some currencies. Structure below structure. Still hasn't decided what it wants to do. Okay. Great Britain pound. Now they're saying they're going to walk away from Brexit talks. Who knows? Look at these moves. This is, again, this is not something that you can trade. It's just reactionary, right? Garbage. US dollar, Turkish lira continues to devalue. It's horrible. Ruble. CAD. Breaking down again from this structure. Building that pressure at the bottom, right? Australian dollar. We should chart this. Okay. Just taking a rest. Had a very big move to the upside. Taking a rest. Next move should be to the upside. New Zealand dollar. Same thing. Consolidating here. Right at that resistance area. US dollar won. Yuan. Currency. Currency. Euro currency index. There it is. Japanese. Nothing. It's breaking out to the upside. This is what I mean by wedges. It drops below, pops above, comes back down. It's just correcting through time. That's it. Wedges are very funky looking uh, moves. VIX, one more time. Yeah, doing nothing. I'm still going to stick with the S&P 500. I think this one looks the clearest. So let's see what the stock market has done, what's moving, what's not. And it's up for the, let's look at the last 5 days. Utilities continue to lead, you know. Industrials, real estate, financials. I mean, come on, give me a break. That's not very bullish. That's defensive. And technology is barely up 0.5% for the last 5 days. Communications, forget about them. Energy, forget about that. Okay. So that's about it for now. I'll be back later. I'll leave this up for now. Actually, I'm going to shut it down and then I'll come back around 2 o'clock. I'm going to run around and do some stuff. All right, but there's nothing to stick around for. There's nothing to sink your teeth in. It's just a waste of time of grinding higher. That's all we're going to see. If anything happens, it's going to be after 2 o'clock. So I'll be back at then. All right, guys. Talk to you soon.